Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about something that doesn't just belong in books or on YouTube highlight reels. I want to talk about real, battle-tested principles, the kind of rules that every successful person follows, consciously or not, the kind of rules that separate intention from impact. You see, we live in a culture that has become a professional at shifting blame. It's always someone else's fault. It's the economy, it's your parents, it's your boss, it's the system. And yes, life is unfair. Nobody's denying that. The world is broken. There are real injustices out there. But let me tell you, blaming your surroundings will never change your situation. The longer you live as a victim of your circumstances, the more you surrender your power to change them. Every successful man or woman I've ever met, every one has something in common. They take ownership. I'm not talking about prideful self-reliance. I'm not talking about pretending they have it all together. No, I mean they wake up every day and say, my life is my responsibility. No one owes me anything. If something needs to change, I have to lead the way. This is not popular. This doesn't sell books or fill stadiums the way feel-good messages do. But I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you the truth. And the truth is this: the sooner you take responsibility for everything in your life, even the things you didn't cause, the sooner you begin to walk the road that leads to lasting, meaningful success. You might say, but I didn't choose this pain. I didn't choose this loss. I didn't ask for these trials. I hear you, neither did I. But the question is not, did I cause this? The question is, what am I going to do with it? Because even if you didn't choose your starting point, you still choose your direction. And what you do with what you've been given, that is what separates those who succeed from those who merely survive. Let me tell you something hard but freeing. You are not owed anything. You are not entitled to the life you imagine just because you've been through hardship. And if you live waiting for someone else to fix your life, you're going to wait until the day you die. But when you take responsibility, when you say no more excuses, no more blame, I will do what I can with what I have starting today, you take your life back. You start becoming dangerous to the things that used to control you. You stop being a slave to bitterness, to fear, to passivity. And hear me, this kind of responsibility is not rooted in pride. It's not a cold, hardened independence. It's humble. It's grounded. It says, I can't control everything, but I'm going to be faithful with what I can control. That's what success looks like. Not flash, not fame, not standing on a stage. It looks like a man who admits when he's wrong and changes. It looks like a woman who refuses to let her past define her future. It looks like a young person who says, I will not blame my family. I will not blame my upbringing. I will build something better. Some of you are waiting on motivation, but let me be honest. Motivation is a fragile thing. It's built on emotion, and emotion is a horrible mess. If you want to build a life of real purpose, you need more than inspiration. You need conviction. You need to be so deeply grounded in this truth that no one else is responsible for your life, that even on your worst days, you refuse to retreat into blame or self-pity. You may fail, you may fall, but you do not point the finger. You own it. You learn, you grow, and you rise. You might say, but others had it easier. Maybe so, but if you're still looking sideways, comparing yourself to everyone else, you've already lost, because this is not about them. This is about you, and you don't get to control their story, only yours. Now let me speak directly to you if you've been carrying wounds from others, from people who failed you, hurt you, abandoned you. I'm not asking you to pretend that didn't happen. I'm asking you to decide what happens. You can choose to stay angry. You can rehearse every injustice until it poisons your soul. Or you can choose to be free, not because they deserve it, but because you do. And that kind of freedom begins with taking responsibility for what your life will become from this moment forward. You're not too broken. You're not too late, but you do have to decide. Responsibility isn't flashy. It's quiet. It's the decisions you make when no one's watching. It's showing up. It's doing the work. It's confessing the truth. It's forgiving. It's and it's trusting that the path of integrity, while slow at times, will always take you farther than the shortcuts of blame and excuses. Everyone wants the breakthrough, the result, the applause. We live in a world where the finish line is broadcasted everywhere. Success stories, highlight reels, pictures of the final product. But what they don't show you is the grind behind it all. The sweat, the silence, the failures that came before the And that's why so many people never taste real success, because they're addicted to the outcome and allergic to the process. But the men and women who go far, the ones who don't just rise but stay standing, they're different. They understand something critical. The outcome is just a reflection of the process you submitted yourself to, over and over again. The result is not the reward. The process is. Listen to me, if your eyes are only on the finish line, you'll stumble on every step along the way. Because you're not looking at what's right in front of you. You're not anchored. You're chasing a feeling, a moment, an image. And when it doesn't come fast enough, and it never does, you quit. You give up. You say, maybe this isn't for me, when the truth is you just didn't fall in love with the work. Do you want to know what separates the crowd from the committed? It's this: successful people aren't driven by outcomes. They're driven by obedience to the process. The writer writes, whether or not the book sells, the builder builds, even when no one sees the foundation. The athlete trains, even when the next match is months away. Why? Because they've built something stronger than motivation. They've built discipline. They've anchored their identity not in what they get from their effort, but in who they become through it. That's why shortcuts don't work. They might give you a taste of success, but they can't sustain it. Because you didn't become the kind of person who can carry the weight of what you're asking for. You can't fast-track character. You can't fake growth. And you can't microwave greatness. You have to live it. You have to wake up to it. You have to die to yourself in it. And hear me, the process is rarely exciting. Sometimes it feels boring, repetitive, invisible, but it is in the repetition that your roots grow deep. It's in the mundane that God shapes muscles you'll need when the platform comes. That's why the process is not punishment, it's preparation. Some of you are asking for a stage, but you haven't trained in the silence. You want the fruit without the fight. But success doesn't answer to talent alone, it answers to faithfulness. And faithfulness is proven when no one is clapped. Let me tell you something else. The process reveals who you are. It's easy to talk big when the dream is still far away. It's easy to make bold plans when they're still theoretical. But what do you do when progress is slow, when no one notices, when the reward doesn't come? That's when you find out what you're made of. That's when the excuses die or take over. That's when the shallow fall away and the rooted dig deeper. The men and women who are truly successful, they're not waiting for the process to feel good. They've chosen to trust. And trust is a choice, not a feeling. They keep showing up, keep learning, keep building, not because the results are instant, but because they believe the process is doing something in them, not just for them. Do you understand? This isn't just about skill, it's about soul. It's about surrendering to something that doesn't always make sense in the moment, but shapes you in ways you'll only understand years later. And when you learn to value the process, truly value it, you become unstoppable, because your identity isn't tied to applause or recognition. It's rooted in obedience. It's grounded in consistency. It's fueled by something eternal. But if you're only chasing the next win, the next post, the next milestone, the next round of praise, you're building on sand. And when life gets hard, and it will, your house will fall. Because it was never about the foundation, it was only about the finish. I'm telling you, stop chasing outcomes. They'll come, or they won't, but your peace can't depend on them. Your character can't depend on them. If success shows up tomorrow, great. If it takes 10 years, better, because the slower path builds stronger people, and strong people endure. They don't just achieve, they remain. So I ask you, are you willing to fall in love with the process? Are you willing to do the work when no one's watching? Are you willing to stay faithful, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when it feels like nothing's changing? Because that is where true transformation begins. You don't rise by dreaming, you rise by doing, again and again, brick by brick, day after day. And eventually what looked like nothing turns into something no one can ignore. Not every opportunity is meant to be chased, and if you don't learn how to say no, you will never have the time, space, or clarity to say yes to what truly matters. If these don't truly matters, one of the greatest marks of maturity and success is the ability to decide what doesn't belong. That's where focus is born. Focus doesn't come from doing more, from hustling harder, from multitasking until you collapse. No, focus comes from subtraction, from filtering, from cutting out the distraction so the mission can breathe. We live in a culture that glorifies being busy. People wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. You ask them how they're doing, they say, "I'm slammed," like that somehow validates their worth. But being busy is not the same as being effective, and movement is not the same as progress. You can run in circles and never get anywhere. You can work yourself to the bone and still miss your calling. And some of you are doing exactly that, not because you're lazy, but because you're overcommitted. Your calendar is full, but your soul is empty. You've said yes to so many things that you no longer have any margin for the one thing you were actually made to do. Listen to me. Every yes costs something. When you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else, whether you realize it or not. And if you're not intentional about what you say yes to, life will choose for you. People will fill your schedule. Pressure will dictate your direction. Noise will drown out the still small voice calling you to something deeper. But successful people, the ones who live with purpose and clarity, they've learned the power of a well-placed no. They're not swayed by every request. They don't jump at every shiny opportunity. They don't fear missing out because they've already counted the cost of distraction. They protect their time like it's sacred, because it is. And I want to be clear, this isn't about being selfish. This is about being faithful. There's a difference between being available to everyone and being obedient to the one thing God's called you to. Some of you are trying to save the world when you haven't even stewarded what's in front of you. You're trying to be everything to everyone, and it's breaking you. You weren't created to do everything. You were created to do something specific, something meaningful, something eternal. But you'll never discover that if you're drowning in obligations that God never assigned to you. And I get it, saying no is hard, especially when it's something good, especially when people won't understand. But if you're going to live a life of purpose, you're going to disappoint people. That's part of it. You're going to have to let some people down so you don't let your calling down. You don't need everyone to agree with you. You don't need their approval to walk in obedience. You just need the courage to say, "That's not for me right now," or "That doesn't align with what I'm called to do," or even just a quiet, unapologetic no. The older I get, the more I realize that most of the things people chase don't lead anywhere that matters. Popularity, busyness, attention, it's all smoke. It looks important from a distance, but up close it's empty. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your entire life climbing a ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. You have to guard your time like your life depends on it, because it does. Time is the one resource you never get back. You can lose money and earn more. You can lose status and recover, but once a moment is gone, it's gone. So how are you spending your time? What's getting your best energy, your deepest focus, your clearest thinking? You show me how someone spends their time, and I'll show you what they truly value. I don't care what they say, I care what they do, because actions don't lie. And some of you need to look at your life right now, at your calendar, your commitments, your habits, and ask, is this leading me to who I want to become? If the answer is no, then something has to change. You can't keep saying yes to things that are robbing you of the very future you're praying for. Don't just ask, is this a good opportunity? Ask, is this the right opportunity? Don't just ask, can I fit this in? Ask, if I say yes to this, what will I have to say no to? Because every yes has a price tag, and it's usually your peace, your purpose, or your people. And let me say this especially to those who want to do good, who want to serve, who want to help, who want to make a difference. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot be a light to others if your own fire is burnt out. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is rest. Sometimes the most godly answer you can give is no. So don't just fill your life, focus it. Don't just chase more, pursue what matters. Don't just stay busy, because in the end, success doesn't come from being everywhere, doing everything. It comes from being rooted in purpose, from guarding your time, from focusing your energy, from saying no to the noise so you can say yes to the one thing that matters most. Because the most dangerous place you can be is thinking you've already arrived. You stop growing, you stop listening, you stop learning, and the moment you believe there's nothing more to learn is the moment you begin to die inside. Every successful person I've ever met shares this trait, a hunger to grow and a humility that keeps them teachable. They are not driven by ego, but by truth. They don't cling to the need to be right, they cling to the desire to get better. And they know that growth isn't a season, it's a lifestyle. You don't grow for a few years and then coast for the rest. No, you keep stretching, keep learning, keep breaking through. But you know what stands in the way for most people? Pride. Pride keeps them. Pride tells them, you've been doing this long enough, you don't need help. Pride whispers, if you ask questions, people will think you're weak. And so instead of asking, they pretend. Instead of learning, they protect their image. And in doing so, they sacrifice their future on the altar of their ego. But the truth is, the more you grow, the more you realize how much you don't know. That's the paradox of maturity. The more light you walk in, the more shadows you see. The more wisdom you gain, the more aware you become of how far you have to go. And that awareness isn't a weakness, it's strength. It keeps you hungry, it keeps you humble, it keeps you moving. Growth requires discomfort. You're going to be stressed. You're going to be confronted with things you don't like about the world and about yourself. But growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. It happens when you're willing to let go of what's easy and reach for what's better. Some of you have built an identity around what you already know. You've made comfort your idol. You're afraid to admit there's more to learn because it means you're not as far along as you thought. But I'm telling you, growth demands that you lay that pride down. It demands that you become a student again, even when you've been the teacher, even when people look to you for answers. Because real strength is found not in pretending you have it all together, but in being willing to keep learning, keep repenting, keep changing. You have to be intentional about this. Growth won't happen by accident. You don't drift into wisdom. You don't stumble into character. You have to pursue it day in and day out. You have to put yourself in rooms where you're not the smartest one. You have to be willing to sit under people who are farther along than you, even when it bruises your pride. You have to invite correction, not just tolerate it, but welcome it. Because correction is not rejection, it's refinement. And if you want to grow, you need people in your life who love you enough to tell you the truth. You also have to be honest with yourself. Stop blaming your lack of growth on other people. It's not your pastor's fault. It's not your manager's fault. It's not your parents' fault. Growth is your responsibility. You can't wait for someone to come along and feed you truth with a silver spoon. You have to open the book. You have to ask the hard questions. You have to do the soul work. Because no one else can grow for you. And let me say this, growth is not just about knowledge, it's about transformation. You can memorize books, recite quotes, attend seminars, and still stay stuck in immaturity. Because growth that doesn't change your heart is just information. And information alone doesn't make you wise. You have to apply it. You have to live it. You have to let it shape the way you love, the way you lead, the way you suffer, the way you... That's what true growth looks like. Not just knowing more, but becoming more. More patient, more honest, more disciplined, more sacrificial, more anchored in truth. And some of you need to stop asking, what do I want to do? And start asking, who do I need to become? Because when you become the kind of person who walks in wisdom, who lives with integrity, who submits to the process, the right doors will begin to open. Not because you forced them, but because you were ready for them. So how do you grow? You stay small in your own eyes. You live with a posture of learning. You surround yourself with truth tellers. You open your heart to correction. You don't despise the struggle. You see it as soil for your development. You study the word. You seek out mentors. You ask questions, and you never stop asking, Lord, what are you trying to teach me here? You see, growth isn't a ladder you climb. It's a foundation you deepen. It's not about going higher. It's about going deeper. Because if your roots aren't strong, the weight of success will crush you. And the deeper your foundation, the higher you can build without falling. So don't fear the growing pains. Don't resist the refining fire. Don't avoid the hard lessons. Embrace them. Invite them. Let them do their work. Because it's not about how fast you rise. It's about how strong you stand when the winds come. We live in an age where everything is filtered, everything is polished, and everyone is trying to present the best version of themselves. Success is no longer just about doing the right thing. For many, it's become about looking the part, and that's dangerous because you can be applauded for what you perform, but only transformed by what is true. You can gain followers with charisma, but you build your legacy with character. If you want to last, not just flash, not just rise and fall, but endure, you have to live with integrity. I'm not talking about perfection. I'm talking about wholeness. Consistency, the kind of life where who you are in the dark matches who you are in the light, where your words and your actions speak the same language,
where your public victories aren't built on private compromises. And I want to tell you this straight, if the only version of you that people ever see is the curated, filtered, sanitized one, then even your success is fragile, because it's propped up by image instead of identity. And sooner or later, what's done in secret will be shouted from the rooftops. What's hidden beneath the surface always finds its way out. And it's not because people are out to get you, it's because God loves you too much to let you keep walking in a lie. Integrity means your yes is yes and your no is no. It means you don't cut corners when no one is watching. It means you don't speak one way on the platform and live another way at home. It means you are accountable not just for what you do but for who you are. And let me tell you, it's hard, it's costly, but it's worth it. Because without integrity, you may succeed for a season, but it will eat you alive from the inside out. Some of you are asking God for more influence, more visibility, more opportunity, but what He's asking you is, can I trust you with? Because gifting can take you places that your character can't keep you. And if you don't build the foundation of your life on integrity, you'll collapse under the very thing you prayed for. We've seen it over and over. People who rise too fast, people who fall too hard, and every time we're shocked. But the truth is, the fall didn't begin on the day it was exposed. It began the moment they started hiding, the moment they started compromising in secret and justifying it because the fruit was still showing in public. But fruit can grow in diseased trees for a while. It takes time before the rot becomes visible, and by the time it does, the damage is often deep. Don't be that person. Don't trade your future for a moment of applause. Don't sacrifice your soul on the altar of success. Don't pretend to be someone you're not because it gets you likes or deals or followers. That kind of success is paper thin. It won't hold up in the storm. It won't bring peace to your heart. It won't last. But a life of integrity, that's solid, that's rooted, that's real, and real is real takes courage, real takes confession, real takes surrender, because integrity doesn't happen by accident. It happens by decision. It's 1,000 small choices every day. It's doing the right thing when no one will notice. It's telling the truth when a lie would be easy. It's owning your mistakes and making it right, not just with words, but with action. And here's the thing, integrity doesn't always get celebrated. Sometimes it costs you, sometimes it looks like losing, sometimes it means saying no to the deal, the opportunity, the relationship that could take you further faster, because it violates your convictions. But better to lose with integrity than to win with compromise, because any victory that demands you betray your soul is not a victory at all. Integrity also means being honest about your struggles, not living in shame but walking in the light, not hiding your wounds but allowing God to heal them, because the people who are the most whole are not the ones who've never fallen. They're the ones who've been honest about, who've brought their brokenness into the light and allowed God to shape something stronger from it. Integrity is not about being flawless, it's about being faithful. You can't have integrity without humility. You can't walk in truth if you're constantly trying to defend your image. You have to be willing to say, I was wrong, I'm still growing, I need help. That's not weakness, that's strength. That's what leadership looks like. That's what maturity looks like. That's what success that lasts is built on. And let me say this, integrity doesn't just affect your own life. It impacts every life connected to yours, your spouse, your children, your co-workers, your friends. When you live with integrity, you become a refuge for others. People can trust you. They can lean on you. They're safe with you. But when you don't, when your life is a performance, it doesn't just hurt you, it fractures trust, it damages relationships, it teaches others to do the same. So what do you want to leave behind? What kind of legacy are you building? Because long after the applause fades, long after the platform is gone, people won't remember how successful you looked. They'll remember how you lived. Were you honest? Were you faithful? Did you keep your word? Did you walk in the light? That's the measure of success that matters. That's the kind of life that endures the fire. Because when the storm hits, and it will hit, only what's real will remain. And I want you to be able to stand. I want your life to speak long after you're gone. I want your example to point to something higher, something unshakable. So make the hard choices now. Tell the truth. Do the hidden work. Let your yes mean yes. Repent when you fall. Don't fake it. Don't hide. Don't perform. Just be real. Be whole. Be faithful.